Hello and welcome to the complete lecture of AWS SageMaker. In our last lesson, we have seen how we can upload the data into an S3 bucket. In this lecture, we'll see how to consume the pre-built algorithm from ECR to the SageMaker instance and usage of the data from the S3 bucket. So let's get started. So here, first of all, we need to import a SageMaker library and the get execution role. So once it get executed, we'll create a SageMaker session. So under the SageMaker session, once we'll create it, all my training will happen, right? So I'll just create a SageMaker instance. Okay, so once my SageMaker instance is created, then we need to see which particular IAM role is having an access. This particular SageMaker session is having an access to use the outside resources. So we need to get an IAM role. So once we'll click on IAM role, we can see the IAM role. Here we have this IAM role. So what all the access this IAM role would be having it, that access would be provided to this particular SageMaker. Or if the particular access is not been given, then you need to give the access to this particular IAM user, right? And then we'll need to see which particular region you are doing the modeling. You are building a model. This particular region is US East 1. Now the important part here, we need to first see that on which particular region we have a pre-built algorithm. So in this particular region, so here this is the region we have this particular algorithm. So this particular line, what it does, it go to the particular region and see whether I have this particular algorithm available over there or not. So that particular region, it will go into an ECR and check my pre-built algorithm is present or not. And there are a different version as well. So if you wanted to pick only the particular version, you can give the version name, or you can take a latest one itself. So if you need to take an image from that particular ECR, what you need to do it, you need to use a library called SageMaker. Under the SageMaker.amazon.estimator. Under this estimator, we have a function called getImageURI. So it will extract the image from the particular region, the region what you have, and what particular algorithm you need to import, and which particular version you need to import, right? So I'll create this, and this gets created, right? Now you can just see how it looks like. So this particular account number dkr.ecr, this is a region.amazon.com, and this is a particular image name with this version 1, right? So this particular image, we need to import it into our SageMaker instance. Now you can execute this into instance type, right? So what is instance type? So instance type is a resource type on which your SageMaker or your Python is getting executed. So when you are trying to execute anything on a local machine, it will take your laptop resources like your CPU, your RAM and all. However, in the cloud, on which particular resources you need to pick, you need to give an instance type. So here either you can take a local, or you can give a instance type as a ML/M4 large. So if you wanted to execute it for the local, you can give a local as well. However, I'll just try to show you how do we give an instance type of a particular resource. So here just click on instance type. So now if we need to build our model, we need to use the estimator library. So estimator library is present in a SageMaker.estimator, and just keep this thing in mind, this estimator is capital E and this is just a library in a small e. So this particular library, what we need to do it, we need to give what all the images you need to execute. So we need to execute the model, this particular model, right? So here in the image name, so since we are using the SDK2, so I will replace this with the image URI. In previous version it is image name, right? So I'll use this. So this particular image, I need to pull it from an ECR. I have a role, this is IAM role. This particular train instance count is at how many instances on how many instances you are trying to execute your model. You want to execute in a model in 2 instances or in a single instance. For a demo purpose, I will be using one. This train type instance, I have already mentioned this, MLM4X large, where your output, once the model is been built, where your output is getting stored. So your output will get stored in a S3 model output, which we have given on the top right. So here if you see, my S3 model output would be bucket name and the model folder, that is LR model. So here this one, the SageMaker session and the job name. So is I'll give it as a demo test. Okay, so we'll execute this and just ignore this, what it says that okay, the instance count is been renamed in a SageMaker 2, so it will be renamed as a count, right? Now here this particular model, this linear learner model, is having a certain hyperparameter, right? So we have a certain parameter, so we can give this certain parameter over here. So here it will automatically define how many features and what is the target variable we have, because we have already given the first row, in a first column we have given the target variable, right? So that is the reason it will automatically detect which are the target variable and which are the independent variable. After that, since this linear layer, over here we have mentioned this linear learner can be predicted in a binary classification and for the regression also. So it can be used for the binary classification as well as for the regression. Over here in a hyperparameter, you need to define whether you are going ahead with a regressor or you are going with a classifier. So that is the reason, and then you need to normalize the data and the number of epoch you need to execute. If you want to give more hyperparameters, you can just go over here in a AWS SageMaker documentation, wherein you can see there are a lot of hyperparameters mentioned. You can just go through it and you will find it out, and based on that you can mention it in your code, right? So once that is done, so I'll try to execute this. Now if you wanted to see what all the hyperparameter you have given, you just need to click over here. Now my model instance is ready. Now what we need to do it, we need to pull the data from an S3 and fit it into this particular model, right? So for that, what we need to do it, we need to say SageMaker, under the SageMaker session, we need to have a data from an S3 input. So under this S3 input, we have given the S3 train. So this is the location where my data resides. So this S3 train, if you'll go up, right, this S3 train location, I have mentioned it over here. So it is under this bucket and under this folder. So now here we can give under this S3 input, we have this particular at this particular location we have our training data set, and my content type, my type would be text as or CSV. So there are different kind of a format we have a libsum, we have a different format as well. However, for this particular lecture we are going ahead with a text CSV. So once this is done, my algorithm comes to know that okay, my data set is over here and my type of a data set is text or CSV, right? So this is data set, and now finally we will also do it for the test data set, right? Now finally we'll try to fit the model. Now we have a model ready. My model is lr.model. Under this fit, we are telling that okay, my training configuration is this. Here my training configuration, in which it will tell you where my data resides at which particular location, and my validation needs to be done on the test config data set, right? So the test config data set is over here. So it would take some time. We will come back once my model is being trained. And my model is trained now. So here we'll first see how to look this training model, right? So first of all, what it does, it starts the training job. So here my first step is training is started, right? and once that is done, it will try to do some profiling report, and thereafter what it does, it is trying to create a resource or an instance for your training. So what kind of a resource, based on the instance type what you choose, based on that it will create your instance type. Once it is done, it will download the data from the S3 into a SageMaker instance. So once the data is been downloaded from there, then it is trying to download the image. So from the image what we have mentioned it from in the top here, if you'll see, this is the particular image we have, where the image is this one, right? So this particular image it will download from this particular region, and once that is done, it will try to upload the generating model and execute the Docker, because my training data set is there in a Docker format, and do that, right? So finally, if you'll see the result over here, you can find out a different matrix. This one I was looking for, right? So this is a mean squared error. So this is a regression problem, and in the regression problem, if you'll see that we are measuring the loss based on MSE. So the lower the loss, the greater the better the algorithm is, right? So here the MSE is 1.17, absolute loss is 0.84, and the validation data set, so for a validation data set it was 1.15, the loss is 1.15, and the absolute loss is 0.84. So this is how I can see from the matrix that what is my validation loss, right? So this is how we are doing the training. In this lecture we have learned how to train the model and how are we going to upload the data from an S3 to the SageMaker instance. Thank you.